Can a group of school kids achieve world peace? While that certainly sounds like a task best left to the adults, you can imagine the endless lessons involved in the process. It's why one man invented the World Peace Game and why some teachers at Columbus Academy brought it to their fifth graders.
It's a groundbreaking game in the world of education, meant to pose global problems to our nation's school kids and see just how well they can solve them. The ultimate goal is a lofty one: to achieve world peace.
The World Peace Game is a geopolitical simulation in which the kids are assigned a role, whether they're the prime minister of a country, part of the cabinet in a country, part of the UN, World Bank, or we have a business model that we call the arms dealers. And they have been tasked with solving social, environmental, and economic crises.
It's the brainchild of educator John Hunter, who created the first version in 1978 as a board game. It wasn't until 2010 when a documentary on this classroom game turned it into the phenomenon it is today. At Columbus Academy, Lauren Shuneson and her fellow fifth grade teachers thought the World Peace Game was the perfect way to capstone their year.
Fifth grade is the final year of lower school here, so we wanted something that would, work to challenge their communication skills, the curriculum that they've learned so far, tie it all together into something challenging that would bring them together as a class, and also kind of challenge them to their next step, which is a huge transition into more social interactions and conflict and creative thinking.
So here's how it works. The teachers are trained and given the guidelines to follow, but they must create the centerpiece for the game on their own. That's this 4-foot by 8-foot plexiglass world sitting in the center of the room. The layers represent the world from outer space to the ocean floor and everything in between.
Students learn in many different ways, and we have a lot of visual learners. So we had created this board and taken hours to set up tiny objects to represent the different crises. So not only can they see the particular crisis that relates to their country, but they also could see how it looked with all of the other problems going on.
From there, the students are put into countries and told their roles: CFOs, prime ministers, etc. One student was even assigned the job of saboteur, having to misdirect, misinform, and you guessed it, sabotage world peace. Each country immediately takes stock of their assets, like oil reserves, land quality, and of course, wealth. One group learning pretty quickly that more money often means more problems.
They started out as the wealthiest country. They were paying for all sorts of things to solve these problems. And then at the end of the game, they were, looking to their other countries and their neighbors and saying, help us out. We don't have any money left. And so they kind of had to realize that money doesn't solve everything, and that they had to negotiate in different ways than just to pay for the problem to be solved.
Problems like oil spills, global warming, the imminent threat of war. These crises are wide-ranging and reminiscent.
A lot of the kids came in the next day saying, such and such thing happened on the news, and that's really similar to the crisis that we solved yesterday. So they were seeing that connection between current events and kind of some of the crises that we asked them to solve.
And solving them was far from simple. Aside from the knee-jerk reaction to write a check, Lauren said the kids found out that some crises couldn't be solved in a day, or even a few.
Their thought process had to change. They had to be creative, and they had to come up with solutions that weren't just given to them and that were kind of in that gray area. They asked a lot about, is this right? Can we do this? And we had to say, does it make sense? Can you afford it? And are you prepared for the consequences?
All of this in an effort to win the game, which meant not only solving every crisis, but increasing the prosperity of every country. That, Laura says, is what it means to solve world peace and prepare these kids for middle school.
That was such a learning experience for them. And it was so awesome to see the looks on their faces when they did it and they were successful. And it was something they did entirely on their own.
So fifth graders can achieve world peace. Is that what you're telling me today?
Fifth graders can achieve world peace. Absolutely.
Oh, good to know. All right, we have spent the better part of the school year getting to know how Columbus Academy does school. And it's been a lot of fun sharing their stories with you. So I want to thank everyone at Academy for letting us wander their halls and sit in their classrooms. And as always, you can learn so much more at columbusacademy.org or schedule a visit by calling 614-509-2220.